What's up YouTube? Anything Billy here. Today on the channel we're working on a 2011 F-150. We're going to be doing front brakes and we're going to be doing rear brakes and rotors. So let's get started. Alright, so once you get the wheel taken off, which is a 21 millimeter socket, tools you'll need for this job. You'll need a 13 millimeter wrench and socket, a caliper compression tool, some lube for the slides, straight screwdriver. Like always, no job is complete unless you have the hammer. So the first thing you want to do, want to take the caliper bolts loose. Use a hammer, not your hand. Alright, these are bolts. They're not slides, so you don't have to remember if they come off the top or bottom. Straight screwdriver. Use it to take the caliper off. As you can see, this one's a dual piston caliper. Slide the pads off. The rotor has a little lip, but it's still okay. So next, since we're not going to do rotors, we don't have to take the caliper bracket off. Next, I'm going to take these are the slides for the caliper on this. We'll take them off one by one. Put some lubricant on them. Slide them back in there. Give them a good twisting. Make sure everything gets lubricated. You may have to take a screwdriver and pop the rubber off. Just be careful not to rip them, because you don't want to get them contaminated. Because once you rip that rubber, then water and debris can get in there. Alright, wipe this off. Put some lubrication on it. Stick it in there, turn it around and around. Alright, next, you want to take your... This caliper tool was made for this particular application. I've used it before on a single piston, but it's actually designed for a dual piston because it fits right here on this middle ear. That way you can be able to push both of them in simultaneously. Now this will be a little bit tougher going in because they are two. Make sure you keep the line straight. Go real slow so you don't put too much pressure. Alright. May have to tap it with a hammer, get it to come loose. Sometimes you may have to do them individually. Alright, there we go. I'll leave that sitting there right there. Now it's time to put the brakes on. Alright, two things I forgot to mention when I was doing the other side is remember before you get started, take the brake cap off and put a rag over it. That way when you push in the pistons, it's got less resistance for air And second of all, what makes the front a little bit easier than the back, you turn the wheel so the caliper is facing towards you, which makes it a little bit easier than being in here. So now we're over here on the passenger side, just like the other side. You need the same tools, a 13 millimeter. Okay, I guess you don't need the same tools. All right, so I'm glad this happened. This is a 13 millimeter, which fit the other side. This side over here is a 14 millimeter. So what that means is either this caliper has been replaced or somebody's had to replace the caliper bolts because they're a different size. So let's hope we don't have any issues taking this apart. So far, so good. All right. Caliper bolts out. Straight screwdriver. Help you get the brakes loose. Straight screwdriver to help you get the caliper off. Sometimes you gotta work at it. Haha, there we go. Right now, these brakes wore a little more than the other side. Just like the other side, the rotor's got a little lip, but it's okay for now. All right, next thing we want to do, I can hear that they're dry. You can hear them metal to metal. Take your screwdriver here, peel back the rubber. Take your rag, off the pin, do some lubrication. Take it back in there. Make sure, it's in there. Take the bottom one out. Knock it off. As you can see, the goop is dirty. This pin has a little groove right here. I'm assuming what that means is that from here down is in this piece of rubber, and the rest of it is actually in the caliper itself. Some lubrication on it. Stick it back in there. Oh, yeah, that was a lot better. Actually, they probably just replaced these. Yep, these look newer. These are actually little dry cracks. So you know what? Maybe that one over there was replaced, and this one is the original one. That I don't know. You could probably look up these numbers and it'll probably tell you that. But just for change of references, normally the bolts are the same size. So now we take my caliper tool, like on the other side, put it in that middle gear, get it lined up, and easily push it in. Try to keep the line as straight as you can. And these little pistons are a little bit tougher to get in. Just slow as you go. Once I get into a certain amount, take the hammer. Sometimes when you do these one at a time, that's why you need a dual piston one. Sometimes when you do these one at a time, like if you push this one in, this one will come out, or if you push this one will come out. That's why you need something to do them both at the same time. Now I'll lay this right here. Now it's time for the brakes. All right. This up here is also a 10 millimeter. I've already took it loose. And if somebody would please explain to me if I get this out. Okay. So see, it won't come out. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to take the bottom bolt out, and you'll have to use your screwdriver. Okay. There we go. So you take this out, then you take this top bolt out. I have no idea what this is. It's only on F-150s that I find this. I have no idea what this is. But you never forget which one goes on top, which one goes on the bottom. And it's got some weight to it too. Now that you got the caliper off, as you can see, these brakes are different. They're made different. So this one, front one here, what you do, you take a hammer, kind of the front pad is hooked on with these, and the rear pad has got a claw which slides in see that or not, but it slides, the claw slides into the piston. So you want to leave that, you have to leave the back brake in there, get your piston compressor, put it on one of the ears, and with the brake pad in there, just slowly squeeze it back in. And watch as I take this off, you'll see the, see, claw, 3 prongs go inside. And that pad was about shot. All right, so lay that over here out of the way. Now we are replacing the rotors on these. Luckily, I don't have to hammer them. They'll come right off. The parking brake don't look too bad. Now only things left, put it back together. Now we're over here on the passenger side rear, just like the driver's side, 10 millimeter. We're also replacing this rotor. The rotor slides out nice. Parking brake looks good on this side. Only things else left. Now that we got it apart, now we can just put it back together. Now it's time to put everything back together. Start with the new hardware. What you do is you take a screwdriver, you gotta that's the top. Old hardware off. Just kind of look at the surface, make sure there's no, make sure there ain't no humps or anything. Everything's good. Then you take the new hardware. Put the bottom on. Put the top on. You hammer the top on, you hammer the bottom on. Now next thing is the rotor. Okay. Piece of brake clean. Take rag, right off if you want to. Put it over. Find the place. What you're doing is you're just getting all the brake with the brake clean to get the oil off of it from shipping. They put that on there so it don't rust. All right, now that that's on there, now it's time to put the brakes on it. These brakes with the ears on it go first. Pop that into place. Now, you want to make sure you've got the, let me grab a brake here. You want to make sure you take the rounded part here. Make sure it's rounded with the bottom of the caliper. Now these pads go on certain ways. Slide these on here like this right here. You may have to have a hammer to tap them on. This spring goes on the bottom. Because what you do is you take it at the top, push the slides out, it pops into places like that right there. Forgot to put that back on there. Clamp it in the top, push this back. There you go. Now you're able to screw the top back in. The other one has no problem screwing in the bottom. Like that. Screw that in there like that. My 10mm. It's got to be hand tight. The top you will want to use a 10mm wrench. Just snug it up a little bit, and there you go. I always move this backwards and forth. The back brakes on this F-150 is a little bit easier because you don't have to take the caliper bracket off. Just take the caliper off, rotor slides right out. It's a little bit more difficult to get this on and off, but it makes it easy. The driver's side rear is done. We'll move on to the passenger side. All right, so now we're over here on the passenger side rear, and now we just do the same thing we did over there. And there you go. Back brakes are done. The only thing left to do is put the wheels and tires on. Now it's time to go to the front. Now we're here on the front passenger side, and we're not doing the rotor replacement, we're just putting brakes on it. So the first thing you want to do, take the old hardware off. Take one side off. That way you know how it goes on there. Here. All right. Bottom hardware is on. Top hardware is on. Now these pads are all the same. They ain't got no squillers. They're all the same, so it doesn't matter as long as you put them in the correct way. long as you put them on there, the curvature of the rotor, or that side's on there. Now, take inside of the hardware down. Have the new hardware on the bottom. Put the outside on first and then push it in, same way with the top. Yep, this is normally the hard one. Okay, come on. Finally. Yep, all right. So you have, this one has humps, this one does not. So I'm pretty sure the ones with the humps go on the inside. Come on. There we go. Ha. Got it. All right. Phew, that was a pain. Finally got it in there. Gotta watch that sometimes. Like I said, the front pad is smooth, the back pad has got humps. And don't leave your gloves in there. Yeah, don't leave your pieces of glove back there either. All right, so now we're ready to. Okay. There we go. Sometimes you gotta kind of wiggle it a little bit to get it into place. All right. There we go. Tighten up the bolt. You don't really have to go and snug it up. All right, everything's in place. This is the front passenger side. As you can see, those humps go in these little holes right here. And what we gotta do is go over there to the driver's front and put it back together like we did this. All right, we're back over here on the driver's side front. Now the only thing to do is just put it together like we did the other side. Well, there you go. Now I have the front brakes done. I've got the rear brakes and rotors done. The only thing left to do is to put the wheels and tires on them, torque them down, and take them for a test drive. you have it, folks. Front brakes, rear brakes and rotors done on 2011 F-150. The last thing you do is make sure you put the cap back on it. Make sure the brake reservoir is full. Now I got to hop in this thing, pump up the brakes, take it for a test drive. If there's anything wrong with it, I'll be back on here. But if not, until next time, bye now.